Okay, we're on air. Good morning. Would we all please stand for the invocation provided by Commissioner Barr? Then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance.
We bow in an attitude of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we say thank you for this beautiful day in Washington County. Thank you for the opportunity to meet, to collaborate, to work together. Lord, guide us, direct us, and use us. We pray this morning especially for Vicki Lum. Lord, we ask for your guiding hand and watch over Vicki and Marty and give them time to give Vicki time to recuperate and just to heal and just be with her through this time of surgery and recuperation. Lord, guide us and direct us. Thank you for this day, and we pray in thy name. Amen.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to call the Washington County Board of County Commissioners June 27th, 2017 meeting to order. With that, I'd like to ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes from the June 13th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approvals of those minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners. Commissioners' reports and comments. Any Commissioners here today have anything they'd like to report on? Mr. Kiefer, Klein?
I do. Several things in the past 2 weeks. Tri-County Council, we had our annual meeting out in Garrett County. The current commissioner in Garrett County is the president, and it's always held obviously in the president's jurisdiction. We had a good meeting, and it was the annual business meeting for Tri-County Council of Western Maryland. Just some other more recent things. I attended the Governor Hogan's picnic in Annapolis on Saturday afternoon. It was just an overwhelming turnout. It's obvious that our Honorable Governor Larry Hogan is very much liked and appreciated, and everything that's going on in Annapolis. So, and Lieutenant Governor Rutherford was also there. And again, it was just quite an event. Left Annapolis on Saturday evening from the picnic, went on down to Ocean City, and on Sunday evening attended the what I would call the opening ceremonies of Maryland Municipal League. Kind of worked the crowd, if you will. Some of our mayors, Mayor Spielman from Sharpsburg, Mayor Crampton from Funkstown, a lot of our municipalities' staff and council folks were in attendance in Ocean City. So I'm sure they've had 2.5 good days. They'll be wrapping up all their MML activities there later this evening, and obviously they'll swear in the 2017/18 president. Attended the mayor's luncheon for Miss Maryland pageant a week or so ago. I know my fellow commissioners were there. Once again, many of us reach out in collaboration with the mayor and city council. As we've talked about many times here, when you think about the Miss Maryland pageant, whether you agree or disagree, it's a statewide venue. We are not the capital. We are not the largest municipality, but we have been for many, many years the home for the Miss Maryland pageant and obviously the Maryland Symphony Orchestra that I've talked about a number of times. And it's very important to this community to hold on to those venues because people around the state are involved, they're committed, and frankly, they come to Washington County and Hagerstown and spend money and participate and be involved. Also attended the 2-day spring retreat with MACO. I'm still very much involved with MACO. We had Thursday and Friday a week ago. We spent 2 full days in Baltimore County, and that's because Kevin Kamenetz is County Executive of Baltimore, is the current president of MACO. And one last thing, I know many times this community is pretty hard and down on itself, and it's just an interesting fact that at that spring retreat in Baltimore, Towson to be exact, I'm in the hotel and I bump into an individual in the hallway at the elevator. We exchanged greetings, and I said that I was from Hagerstown spending the night, and this gentleman from the Towson area works there at the hotel. Immediately started talking about the mural and how he was aware of it, how he's read about it, how he's, I started to laugh, and he wondered what was so funny. So obviously, I gave him a contact and offered him to come to Hagerstown and be my guest, and personal tour and the like. So people outside of Hagerstown and Washington County, across the state, across frankly the East Coast, are connected. They're concerned and involved with many of the things that go on in our community. And so, always be on your best as a community because people are connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I was just going to mention the Miss Maryland pageant. You alluded to that, but I was honored to sit there and be a part of it. Wanted to thank the mayor and the city for inviting us to the luncheon. And at my table, there was a girl from Frostburg, and of course, I asked all of the girls what their main event was going to be. And this particular girl said she played the piano and she was going to sing an Elvis Presley song. So that dates back to my era, and I thought how interesting that a young girl today is going to be singing an Elvis Presley song at the Miss Maryland pageant.
You're 80 years old.
I'm 84. So I just loved hearing that. So again, I just wanted to thank the mayor and commissioner's comments on the luncheon that day. Also, I know here of late I've been sending a lot of requests out to staff to contact citizens within the community on various issues, and I want to thank county staff for doing an excellent job getting back to all of those citizens in Washington County, and certainly making the county commissioners look good. But just thank you for staying in contact with our citizens and answering their concerns. So I just wanted to reach out to staff and say thank you. Okay, any other reports? Reports from county staff?
If you recall, we adopted the update to the floodplain management ordinance several weeks ago. And as part of that update, as you know, this is a program where the county works in conjunction with the municipalities. The municipalities adopt the county's floodplain management ordinance, and in exchange, the Washington County officials handle the enforcement and implementation of the program. To actually do that, each of the municipalities approves a resolution, which then is countersigned by the county. So I would ask that the minutes reflect that the commissioners approve the execution of the appropriate resolution with the municipalities, and authorize the president to sign on their behalf.
Just consensus? Or?
I'd take a motion just so the record reflects, or the minutes reflect that we are authorized to execute the resolutions.
So moved.
We have a motion, a second for that request. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Downey. Any other staff reports, comments? Good morning. How are you two today?
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Sarah Sprecher, Assistant County Administrator, and I have Cassie Lewis here with me, the Director of Business Development. I'm passing a few documents around for your review, and the one I'm going to talk most about has to do with the board, the joint EDC Board and Board of County Commissioners meeting you had last month. We had a lunch in the workshop room, and we kind of had a brainstorming session on economic development priorities. And through that joint meeting, if you take a look at the sheet, economic development activities, you'll see that there are a number of priorities, expectations, and even ways that we can measure economic development success. At that time, we also handed out a survey to our economic development board members and asked them to rank in priority which facets of economic development are most important to them and what they would like to see or continue to move forward so that they can better serve and advise this Board of County Commissioners. And the top three, they are business retention and expansion, and you can see the bar graph on the second page, marketing and attraction, and workforce development. So in the coming months, you'll continue to hear some updates on those three topics or focus. In addition, the Board of County Commissioners and the Economic Development Commission, it was expressed by the board that we would like to meet with you all quarterly to go over updated information. The goal is to do this on a regular basis so we have more relevant information for you all, led by the re-elected EDC Board Chair, Julie Rahm, who you all know. The board meetings in the future, which are held monthly, the second Tuesday of every month, they will have a different agenda format, similar to a consent agenda, meaning all of the different work groups that will be established and all of the staff reports and updates that they have will be done on one sheet ahead of time and emailed to all of the board members so that they can do a little bit of homework and review this information, note any questions, and then at the actual board meeting, it'll be more of a collaborative discussion on some of the topics I'm about to go over. So we've always traditionally had an infrastructure committee on the EDC board, a marketing committee, a workforce development committee, a city center committee, and so on. In light of replacing these committee structures, we are going to work groups, and some ideas that's come about so far are state business development incentives and legislation, the Urban Improvement Project, Mount Etna Farms Development Project, Economic Development Week and Celebration of Business Event Planning, the Gigabyte City Marketing, Workforce Development, Employer Case Studies. So these are specific projects that our EDC Executive Committee and Board have identified as maybe potential starting points to do these specialized work groups. The goal is to have a defined role, charge, timeline, and even an ending date so that we feel like there is concrete progress that all of these volunteers can contribute to and can speak about and be proud of, and also share this information with you all on a quarterly basis. And also, just so you know, we do put out a quarterly business development journal. In this issue, this is our June-July issue, you'll see a number of stories focusing on our existing businesses, featuring a property on Hunter's Green Parkway, also some statistics about Washington County and economic development, an up-and-coming agritourism app that will help publish and publicize all of the ag assets we have in Washington County and be able to digitally share that down the I-270 corridor and beyond. And in addition, if you turn to page 6 in the newsletter, you'll also see some events the Department of Business Development have attended. And if you look at the bottom left corner, you'll see Commissioner John Barr and people attending the 90th anniversary of Ellsworth Electric being in operation. And I am going to wrap up my report, but I'm, of course, here for any questions or concerns, either now or at a later date.
I think it's a great idea that they want to meet with us quarterly, and I think that's real progress. I've said before they employ collectively 8,000 employees among the EDC members. I forget that exact number, but I think it's fair to say they know a thing or two about creating jobs and keeping jobs in Washington County. So I think that's a great move. So good job.
Any other comments? On page 7 there, you have the 5 things investors should know about our workforce. Do you have you tallied those numbers up before? I just like, I don't know, a couple of years ago, do you have any statistics on each of those categories from a couple of years ago? I don't want to create any work or anything. I was just kind of curious for myself.
To see the trend? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Oh, we can get that for you.
Okay. Thank you.
There are no other questions. Cassie Lewis has an update about a tax credit program and the utilization of it. If you all have a brief minute for her to go over that.
I'm here to tell you a little bit about, we've got a significant expansion by a resident business. It's Maryland Paper Company. They have notified the county that they will be taking advantage of our new job creation and capital investment real property tax credit program. So what that means is because they are expanding by at least 5,000 square feet, and they will be employing more than 5 employees, they're going to be entitled to a 6-year property tax credit. And what that means is they'll receive a 30% credit during years 1 and 2. They'll receive a 20% credit during years 3 and 4. And then during years 5 and 6, they'll receive a 10% property tax credit. They are now in a 65,000 square foot building. They're going to be expanding that by 35,000 square feet. Right now they have 60 employees, and they will be adding an additional 50 employees, bringing their total employment to 110. So I'm just here today to notify you about that existing business expansion and the fact that they're going to take advantage of the new tax credit program that you enacted recently. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
I have a question about your presentation. We are able to track economic development through revenue sources, correct? Transfer, recordation, employment tax. Are we now seeing a steady upward trend instead of what was just little bumps, ups and downs? Is that starting to take place?
In income tax, yes.
Okay, so that means more people are working and paying. That's a good economic indicator.
And we are, for the past 2 or 3 months, we've been extremely busy with business activity. So it has picked up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other staff here to provide a report or a comment?
I have a comment, President, or a couple of them if you have a moment. First, I'll go in reverse order because of Sarah and Cassie's presentation. First of all, I don't know if enough has been made that Washington County, City of Hagerstown, competed with the City of San Diego for a bicycle race in years 2018 and 2019. Speaks to Commissioner Barr's comments of we need to prompt and promote the good news going on here in Washington County and the success. To go up and compete with the City of San Diego for something like that is fantastic. Bike race was recently held, and I'll probably botch up some of the details, but in downtown 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, that was an event where we had the folks from, is it Bicycle USA, Tim? USA Cycling was here to observe and pick the particular routes they'd like to be on, including most likely one through downtown Hagerstown. So wonderful event, was fantastic, the activity and livelihood in downtown. And they will have 3 routes. It'll be over 800 athletes from what I understand, which is fantastic. Recent visit from a out-of-town prospective employer and business owner. I think we received kudos on the presentation that was received. Vice President Klein was there, President Baker was there, and the attention and the follow-up and feedback that company received from Washington County. In fact, sent them off out at Hagerstown Regional Airport with a very nice table of goods made in Washington County, which I think they were quite pleased with. Public open house was held last Wednesday regarding the interchanges 65 and 70. I cannot express enough the importance of this interchange in that it goes directly into the city of Hagerstown. It supports longstanding business of premium outlets, number of jobs, number of employers out there. We are close to an alternative, and the letter that was circulated to all the commissioners as far as support of the option, trying to keep a existing loop ramp that allows for free flow northbound into the city of Hagerstown, into those premium outlets, rather than creating another conflicting movement is especially important. So we're going to be sending out that letter that was executed by President Baker. It's available for everyone, and I'm free to go through those details if you'd like to know more about that. And finally, Vicki Lum has shared that she misses everyone and that she's recovering from surgery. And if I don't have my dates mistaken, she will be back the next time we meet, which, by the way, my last comment, we don't meet for 2 weeks after this, so have a nice summer vacation.
Any other staff reports, comments? Anything for boards and commissions? No. Okay, citizens' participation. Have any citizens here today would care to come and participate and tell us what you'd like for us to know or hear? Okay, we don't have any citizens here. Sole Source Procurement Award, PUR 1357 for Western Maryland Consortium Disconnected Youth Services in Washington County. Ms. Laypole, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm Stephanie Laypole with the Office of Community Grant Management. I'm here today seeking approval for a sole source procurement to the Western Maryland Consortium in the amount of $52,687 for enhancements to existing programming offered to disconnected youth contingent upon approval of the funding award from the Maryland Governor's Office for Children and as approved by the Washington County Local Management Board at its meeting on Friday, January 20th, 2017. The purpose of the service to be provided is to fulfill the requirements contained in the Community Partnership Agreement to be entered into and dated on or about July 1st, 2017 by and between the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County, Maryland and the State of Maryland, acting through a sub-cabinet for children, youth, and families. The contract is for a 1-year period commencing July 1st, 2017 and ending on June 30th, 2018. The Office of Community Grant Management wishes to apply Section 1-106.2A1 to the Code of Local Public Laws of Washington County, Maryland, to the procurement requested. This section states that sole source procurements are authorized and permissible when only one source exists that meets the county's requirements. This request requires approval of the 4 out of the 5 commissioners in order to proceed with the sole source procurement. If approved, the following remaining steps of the process will occur as outlined by the law. Not more than 10 days after the execution and approval of a contract under this section, the procurement agency shall publish a notice of award in the newspaper of general circulation in the county, and an appropriate record of the sole source procurement shall be maintained as required. There are no county funds involved in this award, and the Local Management Board approves the submission of the proposal and recommends acceptance of the award. Karen Luther, Director of Purchasing, concurs to the permitted use of the sole source procurement request. Are there any questions?
Okay, no questions. Motion to move forward as presented.
Moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next Generation Farmland Acquisition Program, Mr. Seifert. How are you today, sir? Good morning. And Mr. Ball, how are you this morning?
Morning. We're here to present a brand-new program being offered from the state level and seeking your approval to participate in it. It's called the Next Generation Farmland Acquisition Program. And basically, the way this works, there's an agency called Marbidco. It's a quasi-state agency. That stands for the Maryland Agricultural and Resource-Based Industry Development Corporation. Big acronym there, but basically they help farmers with loans and other items to get started. And this program was actually funded first in 2006, but because of state budget problems, it was tabled for all these years. In 2017, actually fiscal year 18, July 1st, will be the first year that it is actually being funded for $2.5 million statewide. Sounds like a lot of money, but split between 23 counties, it's really just a beginning point. And the way the program works, for young and starting farmers, there's no age restriction, but if they're trying to get into farming and acquire their first farm, this program is a way to do it. Typical farm can easily cost $500,000 or more. That's tough for a young guy to come up with, or woman to come up with that kind of money. So Marbidco provides 51% of the land value purchase price for those who have contracts. And then the landowner has up to 7 years to acquire an additional 24% through the Maryland Ag Land Preservation Program for a permanent easement. If they fail to get an easement in that time, then they'll only ever get 51% of the fair market value. So the twofold here is to both preserve the land, but also a young farmer to get started out. So we have 2 applicants who have already expressed interest in Washington County. It'll be extremely competitive with the 23 counties all vying for a bit of that $2.5 million. But it is a starting point, and we actively pursue any funding we can get. Chris is going to talk a little bit about the priority ranking and how our people will be bidding against people throughout the state.
Yeah, as Eric mentioned, there's only $2.5 million to go around, so you're looking at probably 4 or 5 permanent easements. But for our purposes, MALP will be the easement holder if we get selected, and we can get the easement for the landowner. Like most of our easement programs, there is a ranking system involved. This one's no different. First and foremost, the property has to meet the requirements that make it eligible to be a Maryland Ag Land Preservation Program easement, especially being that they would be the final easement holder in this situation. Additionally, the property itself has to be a working farm with a relatively, well, the higher percentage of cropland that it has, the higher it will rank on that. The applicant themselves have to be a beginning farmer with limited access to farmland. Additionally, they have to have what would be considered maybe a difficulty in putting up the capital to purchase a farm, which means they would have to have kind of a lower net worth, i.e. they need startup funding. Additionally, they would actually have to provide a farm business plan, and that would be ranked as well. So that's kind of the general idea of the ranking, with little tiny intricacies along the way.
And as far as fiscal impact, while we don't have any costs involved, we will not be given administrative money. Our other programs typically provide 3% for our time and efforts throughout staff in the county. We will not be given that amount. There is a backdoor way we will get funded for administrative, and that is through the Maryland Ag Land Preservation Program. We get $30,000 every year for administrative costs. So when the easement is actually implemented later, we will get some admin money from that method. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have. You said this of the fair market value. So the farmer that purchases the land who qualifies for the program, they're not just going to give him 51% of the money. He'll have to pay that back.
If he does not pursue an easement, if he is not able to get an easement within 7 years, he'll have two choices. Number one, he can live with just the 51% and still have a permanent easement. The second option, he can pay it back with a penalty. And that penalty is still being decided, but it's going to be about 1% a year interest plus the original 51%. He'll have to pay that back. So the he will, yeah. Well,
the other question is, what's the definition of young farmer?
well, there is no definition. They could be 100 years old if they're able to farm. So it is called young/starting farmer. So the whole idea is if they have not, they have not been in farming more than 10 years. So, you know, it is geared a lot towards a young person, but no discrimination by age.
Would the young farmer or the new farmer have an opportunity to maybe contact your office before they purchase a property to see if that property might qualify for one of the easements?
They would, and we can tell them pretty quickly. And that contract then must be active. If the purchase is done, then we're not involved.
Okay.
So it has to be, we have to jump in the middle of the process with an option contract.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Motion to approve the Washington County participation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Contract award PUR 1346, treatment for substance use disorders at the Washington County Sheriff's Office Day Reporting Center. Mr. Curry, Sheriff Mullendore, how are you two today?
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Before you is contract award PUR 1346, treatment for substance use disorders at the Washington County Sheriff's Office Day Reporting Center. Recommended motion, move to award the contract for the treatment of substance abuse use disorders at the Washington County Sheriff's Office Day Reporting Center here in the county to responsible proposer, Serenity Treatment Centers Incorporated of Hagerstown, Maryland, with the responsive proposed an amount of $92,230. The contract is initial term to tentatively begin July 1st, 2017, ending June 30th, 2018, for an option, which is a clarification error, with the discretion of the Sheriff's Department and contingent upon the following conditions: continual award of funds from the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention. Second, the performance of the contractor and the goals and outcome desired by the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention and the Washington County Sheriff's Office. There was a coordinated committee that was comprised of the Day Reporting Center Director, the Washington County Sheriff Office Sheriff himself, the Warden of the Detention Center, and myself, the buyer for the county. The bid was advertised locally in the newspaper, on the various websites. There was 21 persons and firms accessed the RFP from the website. As you noted, there is one proposal. There's a clarification on the fiscal impact that should read the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention and Control. I have chosen stated funds amount of $92,500 available as awarded, as recommended by the coordinated committee. And there's a price schedule that Serenity provided, and also an excerpt from the minimum requirements of the program. And I'll turn it to the sheriff, let him talk more about it.
Yes, as you're aware, the health department had notified us that at the end of June they would be no longer providing the services because they were doing it on a fee-for-service basis. They do have the personnel to continue that contract. I am familiar with Serenity Treatment Center. Our narcotics task force has been working with them for some time now, making referrals of patients who have an addiction issue. Very satisfied with the program itself, and it would be my recommendation to accept the contract.
Any questions? Commissioners? None. Motion to move to award the contract.
Second.
Have a motion, a second for the recommended motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you very much. Approval of offer on 12408 Learning Lane, former Conococheague Elementary School. Ms. Small. How are you this morning?
Thank you.
Good.
Good morning. I'm Susan Small, Real Property Administrator. I'm here today seeking the approval of an offer on 12408 Learning Lane, the former Conococheague Elementary School. My recommended motion is to move to approve the terms of the sale of the property located at 12408 Learning Lane as presented and to execute the necessary documentation for an agreement of sale. The property was formally listed on April 24th, 2017, and staff has been presented with a formal offer on the property and would like the board to consider the approval of the terms of the offer and move forward with the execution of a formal agreement of sale and the related steps necessary to consummate the transaction. The buyer is proposing an assisted living facility at the site, and the buyer will have to apply for a rezoning certification through the zoning appeal process for a rural business overlay. The disposition of the property will be pending approval from the Board of Public Works, and county staff is currently working with the Board of Public Works to submit application for their agenda, which has been completed as of last week. The offer details are provided to you below. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from the commissioners? I do have, and this is just a thought.
Sure.
Down there where it says the kick-out clause, if a better order or offer is presented by a third party. Do we have a dollar amount in there?
No. I mean, it would have to be better than the current offer standing, which is...
I guess my thoughts are, I don't think it would be fair if someone would come in with a $1 offer more.
Well, that technically wouldn't be a better offer than,
Okay.
I guess, $500,000, and their offer is to take care of all of the closing costs, which includes all the fees and all the commissions, which could be about $35,000. So,
But that's what I mean. If everyone would agree to exactly what has been presented today and they offer $1 more for the purchase price.
right, that wouldn't kick it out, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I was thinking about that, and I thought maybe there should be some parameters. I don't know. But even if there was another offer more than what's being offered here today, we would still have the right to reject another offer.
Correct. I mean, I would present it, but pending this being approved, this is what we're saying is anything better.
That was just my thought. I didn't know if there should be something added to that, or if everyone's okay with everything there, I'm okay with that too. But
if you have any questions about the proposed or the use of the facility, the buyers are here. I didn't know if you, but if not, that's okay too. I just thought they'd want to be here.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the recommended motion. Any further discussion? I'd just like to wish the group or the individuals that are purchasing the property the best of luck. And so no other comments. We have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is a public hearing concerning proposed enactment of an ordinance entitled An Ordinance Establishing School Zones and Authorizing the Use of Speed Monitoring Systems in Washington County, Maryland. The purpose of the hearing is to hear public testimony concerning the matter. The procedure is as follows. We will first have staff introduce the matter, after which the hearing will be open for public comment and testimony. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to testify. After everyone who wishes to speak has done so, the hearing will close. The commissioners may then discuss the issue and take any action that they deem appropriate, including adoption or rejection of the proposal, or they may take the issue under advisement and deliberate at a later date. And now at this time, I'd like to ask Sheriff Mullendore from the Sheriff's Office to come up and present the information.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep, you're welcome. Good morning.
We have before you today an ordinance that was prepared by the County Attorney's Office for establishing school zones and authorizing the use of speed monitoring systems within the school zones in Washington County, Maryland. Under the Maryland Motor Vehicle Law, 21-809, it permits the use of speed monitoring systems within the school zones if the county commissioners adopt an ordinance approving such authority. In this case, it would be the Washington County Sheriff's Office. As you know, this would be civil citations in the amount of $40 for anyone traveling 12 mile an hour or over the speed limit. It establishes school zones within 1,000 feet of the perimeter of the school itself. Basically, any camera system that would be on a state highway would also have to be approved by the State Highway Administration. There's a permit process for that prior to implementation, as well as any speed camera program within a municipality that has to be adopted by that municipality, or they have to have the opportunity to begin their own program as well. Speed monitoring system would be operated Monday through Friday only, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., which is under the law. There is no points assessed to the vehicle owner. This is a civil citation strictly. The operator of the vehicle, the owner of the vehicle, have the opportunity to contest the violation. They have the opportunity to first view the violation online in a video form and also still format, and then they have the opportunity to take that to the district court if they want to contest that violation, and it would be up to the judge to find them guilty or not guilty, depending on the verdict.
Okay. We will now open the hearing for public comment. Do we have anyone here today that would care to testify? Please come forward. Okay. No one here today to testify for or against the speed cameras. Okay, the commissioners, you have any questions, comments? The public hearing is now concluded, and it's up to the commissioners to decide if they want to bring it back at a later date or move forward today. If you'd like to move forward today, just need a motion to approve the recommended motion, and then
I'm okay with moving forward if the rest of the commission is okay with moving forward, and
I'm okay.
I would
is that a motion?
make it a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to move forward with the ordinance. Need a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. So, okay. Thank you. 3 yeas, 2 noes. Thank you.